because he did so well, I almost forgot who was next. Except for the fact that he is so exceptional, I could not forget him even if I tried. This man is a vision of who I would like to be 70 years from now. I don't know, I never asked him. But apparently, when he was in middle school, we were part of the British Empire. And he went from that to becoming someone who distributed 6,000 pencils, inscribed on them, "I actually met our next speaker." And he was very proud to say that a lot of his fans were ladies. Despite all the ladies in his life, he is married to the love of his life. And that is yet another reason why I would like to be like him at a certain point in time. It took him 9 years of failure to find the one he loved. I'm about 3 years away, so I'm very optimistic. Maybe I got lucky earlier, who knows. Please give it up for the king, the true king of this night, Galal Zaki. Thank you.
Could you please raise your hands if you have failed sometime in your lives? Okay. Could you please raise your hands if you would not want to have failed in your lives? You all want to fail in your lives? Well, this story is mine. I failed 9 times, 9 years, and that was the best thing that happened to me. So let me tell you the story from the beginning. Over 70 years, I went to an English school in Cairo, run by the British, and at the time, all I was interested in was sports and girls, and not necessarily in that order. At the time, we had houses, Raleigh, Grenville, Frobisher, Drake, with colours in our ties, and sister houses, Kent, York, Gloucester, Leicester. And we used to cheer the girls when they do sports, and they would cheer us. And I discovered to attract girls, I had to be good at sports and to tell jokes. I had most of the track and field records. Sports day was on 2 days. 100 meters running, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, 1,500 meters. I won the long jump. I didn't break the record. They said I couldn't do it. I did it unofficially, and there were 6 girls screaming, and they were madly in love with me, and I was madly in love with them. I won the javelin. I won the cross country. That was the 3rd day, 5 kilometers. I won the tennis tournament. I won the squash tournament. But I discovered to tell jokes was even more effective. At the time, boys were in science and girls were in arts. If a boy went into arts, they'd look at him as not really very macho. I was head boy, and I won Egypt's championship in the 100 meters and the 200 meters. At the time, we could go into any university without a grade point average. Medicine was at the time important, and engineering. Medicine, I was afraid of blood. Engineering, I was weak in math. Multiplication is vexation. Division is as bad. The rule of the 3 perplexes me, and practice drives me mad. I got 84% in chemistry. They told me, Galal, why don't you go into geochemistry? All right, so before going to university, we had a 3-month holiday. And they got me a trainer, Bill Hike from America. He used to tie a rope around my waist and tie it to a car tire and get me to drag it around the track. He used to put me in the gymnasium to do power training, and he used to kill me. He said, you can always do one more. I started telling jokes to attract girls, and my mother's jokes were very naughty, but this is what happened. And a friend of mine was working at the radio. He said, Galal, why don't you come and work as an announcer? The joke I told, Rauf Hafiz was his name. Lord Ashley goes home one night to find his wife, Lady Billy, in bed with his best friend Grimley, which is absolutely frightful. He said, Lady Billy, I'm astonished. After all I've done for you, I brought you out from the gutters, given you a fine home, fine clothing, and as for you, Grimley, the least you would do is stop while I'm talking. That got into the radio, started telling jokes to attract more girls. They told me, Galal, come and work at the Gazette, the newspaper. Went and worked, and then the university opened. The Faculty of Science, Ulum al-Qahira. And my first lecture, I went in, they started telling me something about أس اتنين وأس ثلاثة. And my Arabic was very weak because we were not allowed to speak in Arabic outside the Arabic class. And Mr. Scott, if I caught me speaking in Arabic outside the Arabic class, he'd say, Zaki, bend down. Bend down. Oh. And he'd come with his gym shoe and give you 3 of the best. What do you say, Zaki? Thank you, sir. Anyway, I spent 4 years and I reached second year doing geochemistry. I go back to when I was 8 years old at school. My mother got me a tutor, an Arabic tutor. And the tutor told me that only Muslim children were going to go and play in heaven. So I went crying to my mother. She said, why are you crying, Galal? I said, because Saeed, my best friend, is not going to come and play with me in heaven. She said, why? I said, because the teacher told me that only Muslim children were going to go and play in heaven. She said, no. Whether you're a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or of any faith, as long as you and Saeed drink your milk before going to bed, and you don't lie, you and Saeed are going to go and play in heaven. And Saeed's in Canada, and we agreed we're going to go and play in heaven. Anyway, 4 years, geochemistry, reaching second year. I told my parents I won't do this. I'll go to the American University and do economics, political science. I spent another 4 years reaching senior year. In the second year, a bombshell came to the university. All the boys and the teachers were running after her. At the time, we didn't have social media, and the 3 fastest ways of spreading news were telephone, telegram, and telegirl. So I went. So I went to her best friend. I said, I'm madly in love with your friend, but please don't tell her. Then I pretended not to see her until one day she came and said, Jalal. I said, me? I'm Galal. Me? Imshi, she's Palestinian. And that's how I got to know Fadia Dajani. Anyway, between Fadia, the radio, the Gazette, Bill Hike, I had over 9 absences in all my courses. So I'm supposed to get kicked out. I told Fadia, she said, why don't you withdraw and come the next semester? Sorry, this is green. Oh, my God. So I went to the dean. I said, I want to withdraw. He said, why? I said, I have more than 9 absences. He said, don't withdraw. We won't count your absences. My problem. The man who was giving me economics was Dutch. He was in love with Fadia. And his best friend was giving me political science. And the son of the dean was in love with her. Between the 3 of them, I got a letter saying I was no longer at AUC. I had to do my military service. I became a dental assistant in the Air Force, taking 6 Egyptian pounds a month, and she married me against her father's will. Her father was a famous Ifinifitif doctor, ENT, and he had removed the tonsils of King Hussein of Jordan. He disowned her because she married someone who didn't have a university. So she went and spoke to the head of the Gazette, and he said, Galal's English is good. Why doesn't he go into Ain Shams English literature? To go in, over 8 years had passed, I'd have to redo my GCE unless I got could get a mental certificate that I was mentally retarded and that I recovered. My brother had a friend in Behrman's hospital. He got me the letter. I went to the interview. How old are you? So, do you have any brothers or sisters? Yes, I have a brother who's older, 11 years older than I am, and my mother said I was a mistake. Does this bother you? No. Anyway, I went in as an external student doing English literature, poetry, drama, 4 years. The last year, they asked us to write an essay. On dreams. I wrote 2 things. One of them was a one-act play on Shakespeare. We had a visiting professor from America. He said, Galal, come and teach at our university and do your PhD. I went to America, got highest honors, did a master's degree. My mother passed away. I had to come back to Egypt. Someone called Ricky Tariq Noor was a friend of mine. He used to flirt in French. I used to flirt in English. He said, Galal, come and work with me. I said, what am I going to do? He said, you're going to be a creative director. I said, what does that mean? He said, I want you to give me funny ideas to turn into television commercials. I said, how much are you going to pay me? This was January 79. He said, 60 Egyptian pounds. I said, what is this, Ricky? He said, what do you know about advertising? Anyway, I said, I'm going to work with you on 3 conditions. I have nothing to do with your general manager. I'll be creative and public relations director. There's no such thing in advertising. He sent me the card a few years ago. And we are going to be, and I said this in Arabic, 2 bottoms in 1 underwear. Wherever you go, I'm with you. And I discovered that Ricky didn't know about advertising, and I learned a lot, and I won a lot of. Every time he wanted to save money, he'd put me in the commercial. I was chicken tikka, Mr. Spicy. I like it spicy. It's very nicey, with a little ricey. Tikka, 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 boom. And he put me in all the commercials to save money. And every time we'd go and shoot in London, he'd say, Zeke, we wanted to say that it's your birthday so that we can invite all those beautiful models and so on. I spent 10 lovely years with Ricky and won many awards. I became accreditation officer of the highest advertising diploma. I accredited the university that I was kicked out of, and they asked me to teach there. And it's all thanks to my wife. Now, going back to Fadia, I'm writing this book. I'll show you the cover. I am, because of my wife, Journey to a Happy Life. I won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Advertising Association, and in my acceptance speech, I thanked everybody, Ricky, my mother, and I ended the speech by saying, and finally, Fadia, I am because of you. I did a song for her on YouTube. I wish you can see it. And she does things to me. When I was a dental assistant, she had a toothache. So I told the doctor, he said, bring her to my private clinic. And he told her, you have a wisdom tooth that has to be extracted. She said, it's going to hurt. He said, no, I'm going to give you anesthesia. She said, no, remove one of Galal's teeth, and if it doesn't hurt him, you can remove mine. He said, Galal, you don't use your wisdom teeth, and he gave me an injection here, and he removed a perfectly healthy wisdom tooth. She wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She says, Galal, are you thirsty? If I make a mistake and say, no, I'm not thirsty, she's going to say, thank you very much, and she's going to frown in my face for the rest of the day. That means go and get me water. We went to Beirut, and it was time for us to go into the passport section. We were standing behind the yellow line. And it was our turn. And I went with Fadia here to the officer, and I put both passports in front of him. All of a sudden, the air turned yellow, and there was a horrible smell. And I looked, and I found Fadia had gone back to the yellow line, and she did this. She had gases in her stomach. The man looked at me. It looked like I was the one who did it. He stamped the passport and said, Yalla ya akhi. So, anyway, guten Morgen, ladies and gentlemen. This is Captain Hans Obermeier of Lufthansa speaking to you. We are now flying over the Mediterranean, and we will arrive in Frankfurt in 3 hours and 33.5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, the first engine of the airplane is not working, but have no fear, this is Lufthansa. Everything will be all right. We'll be in Frankfurt in 1 hour. Ladies and gentlemen, the second engine is kaput, but ladies and gentlemen, there are no more engines working on this airplane. All those of you who can swim, they will please sit on the right-hand side of the airplane. All those of you who can swim, they will please sit on the left-hand side of the airplane, and the plane goes into the water. For those of you who can swim, they will please jump into the water. For those of you who cannot swim, thank you for flying Lufthansa. And that's the beginning. This is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. It is perhaps the end of the beginning. Thank you. I can share my jokes and I can share the book that I've been writing. Thank you so much, and thank you, Amr, for having me.